Hello, good evening, and welcome to Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu. Thank you for taking the time out to be part of tonight's program. I appreciate you. You could have been doing something else. You could have been somewhere else. You could have been spending this time with something else, but you have chosen to be here on this platform, and for that, I am grateful. On today's program, we are looking at midlife crisis. Midlife crisis. We've all heard about it. We've all seen people going through it. Some of us have experienced it personally. Some of us are going through it now. You probably have heard of life begins at 40. Life begins at 40. I know it's a cliche that people use and they throw about, but the reality is the moment you hit that age, that wonderful age of 40, there is something that happens in you on the inside. You start to think differently, you start to see things differently. Your ability to prioritize changes immediately, and you start to ask questions. Up till that time, you're asking different people and different things, different questions. But when you hit 40 and you start creeping up to mid 40, you start asking yourself questions. And some of those questions they're not easy to ask. They're difficult to answer. You don't even want to ask them. But that is life. Life imposes that upon you to ask yourself questions. Questions about who are you? What is the purpose of your being? How far have you come? Where are you on the journey of life? Where are you going? What will be the sum total of your life? And on and on and on, those questions will keep bothering you and keep nagging you, demanding you to respond. Because until you start responding to them, you will come to a point where this thing that we're going to be talking about today will become the issue. Midlife crisis. Midlife crisis will set in, and suddenly you are now like somebody who is going across a river without a canoe, or a canoe without a paddle. So what is midlife crisis? Midlife crisis is a transition. It is a natural transition that happens to everybody. It's a transition of identity. It's a question of self-confidence. It occurs to everybody around the middle age of your life, usually between the age of maybe 42, 44, 45 to when you're about 64, 65 years old. You go through this period of life where your whole essence is completely different from what it was. You are either regretting the past and dreading the future, or you are happy with what is behind you and you are looking forward to what is ahead of you. But whichever one, whichever class, whichever category that you find yourself, you and I will go through this season where you ask those questions. When life itself come knocking at your door, when life demands of you, what have you done with me? What are you doing with me? What are you going to do with me? Suddenly you start to think about your mortality. Especially in this time and age when people are just dying at very young age. 40, 45, 50, 55, people are dying. It makes you start to question. It makes you start to wonder. You start to ponder and start to the point of worrying about what your life is all about. Midlife crisis is a normal period in life when we transition from being a young person, a young adult, to when you transition to become an older adult. It is one thing for you to be a young adult in your 20s and late 20s and early 30s and mid 30s and all of that, where you are enjoying that season of youthfulness, when you are full of energy, you are vibrant, there is something about life with you and around you, and you are unstoppable. But then you hit that range of life and you start to ask questions. You start to challenge yourself. Things around you start to pull on you in a different way, from a different direction. They start to probe deep on the inside of you. It is not about what you see now, it's about what you feel on the inside. It is the transition, it's a period of transition from being a young adult to becoming an older adult. And the responsibilities, the demands, the expectations that life puts on you and I at that instance, at that time of life, they are different. Completely, totally different. Midlife crisis is a period when adults start to evaluate their achievements in life, the goals they set for themselves, the dreams that they had in their youth, in their childhood, and now they're examining that, they're comparing it, they're checking it against the reality of where they are. They look back at the past and they wonder, have I really made anything of my past? What foundation, what have I built from my past? Where am I in the journey of life as I saw it in my childhood? But more than that, they start to dread what is ahead. Energy has reduced. Contact has reduced. Influence probably is also on the downside. Exposure is limited. Opportunities are far and in between. And so you start to wonder, what has life got for me going forward? Where do I see myself in the next 5, 10, 15? God grant us long life, 20, 30 years. Where will I be? What will be the landmark of my existence? And all of this put together puts a certain amount of pressure, of demand, of expectations, of reality, of responsibility on every one of us, that you start to either panicking or rejoicing. Midlife crisis is a period when people whose life has been on autopilot, they just been coasting and just rolling, just flying. They were like drones, just somewhere somebody's control, and they just were just gliding through life. Suddenly the autopilot has come to an end. Suddenly the battery that is powering that drone is no longer functioning. Suddenly you realize that, wait a minute, I'm getting older. You look in the mirror and there you could see some silver lining on this side. You look in the mirror and you could see this thing going south. You look in the mirror and those things that you used to see, and that skin and that face and everything is taking on a different disposition. And you're wondering, where has time gone? Has time passed me by? Have I completely lost everything? Where am I in the journey? What have I accomplished? What are my achievements in life? What would I show for the time that I've lived here on earth? But those who spend their lives focused, dedicated, with purpose, with goals set and activities put in place towards achieving those goals, most of them just enjoy this same period called midlife crisis, because they have less things to worry about. They can see what others are asking. They can enjoy what others are pursuing. They can sit back and watch their investment bringing back returns to them. They grow older easier than those who just coast through life. Midlife crisis does not know whether you're a man or you're a woman. In fact, we all, man and woman, irrespective, it doesn't matter. We all experience it. The only difference between the way men handle or the way men process and go through midlife crisis compared to the way women will handle or go through midlife crisis is that when men are going through their midlife crisis stage, they tend to focus on their achievements. They tend to ask, what have I accomplished? They try to examine, and they try to prove a point to people around them to say, I have made a success of my life. I have things to show for my existence. Look at the things I have accomplished. Look at my accolades, my degree, my establishment, my this, my that. That is what men look for to confirm where they are during this period. Not so for women. When women are at this level, this position, this stage of life, they are more concerned about how they look physically. Their physical appearance becomes paramount to them as women. They are more concerned about how sexually attractive they still are at that stage. They start to look for signs that they still have what it takes to hit the town. They suddenly remember that life is not all about parenting. There is more to my life. There is more to my existence. There is more to my person. I have a purpose beyond raising those children. I have a purpose beyond making the home. I have a purpose beyond being a wife. Suddenly, they start to ask, what now? That the children have left home. That the husband is preparing for retirement. That the house has become too big for just the two of us. Suddenly, the woman starts to look at herself. Everything she has ignored, every sacrifice she had made, everything she had laid down for the sake of the house, the children, the husband, and the family, now it is my me time. And that is what a woman concentrates on when women are going through their midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, it can range, the effect of it, how people handle, how they manage it, how they process it, can range from it being a mild issue to becoming, in some cases, completely dangerous. People have committed suicide. Some have lost their mind. Some have really walked away from life, from their families, from everything that they know during this period. It affects their health. It affects your well-being. It affects your relationship. It affects your finances. It affects even your spirituality. While most people will manage with support and openness to receive the support, some people will manage to go through their midlife crisis without not too much trouble. But others struggle. They struggle to find the balance between life and their reality. They struggle to see a way out of this seemingly dead end. The concept of passing of youth suddenly come home to have dinner with them. Midlife crisis, when you look at it, there are 6 stages that people go through during midlife crisis, and the 6 stages, they are similar to the stages that people go through when they experience grief, when they have lost somebody, or they're going through a major challenge. People have, there are 6 stages that people go through during a midlife crisis, and we're going to open them up a little bit tonight, so that if you are in that situation, if you are in that position, maybe you are within that age bracket, and you'll be wondering, what on earth is going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I experiencing things like this? Why is my view on things, why have they suddenly changed? What is the matter with me? Maybe by the time we open up all of this tonight, it could help you to identify, number one, the fact that you probably are going through your own midlife crisis. And number two, where are you on these stages, these 6 stages? Where exactly are you? So that you can know how to handle it and how to come out successfully. The first stage of that you will experience during a midlife crisis is the stage of denial. It is the stage of denial. Because at that stage, there is a rage of war going on the inside of you. You are unwilling. There's an element of an unwillingness to accept the fact that, oh boy, you're getting old. Age is catching up on you. Now, don't get me wrong, age is a number, but your body responds in different ways at different levels of your life. So while age is just the number that you count, your body will tell you whether it's just a number or there are some other things going on as well. At the denial stage, you are unwilling to accept the fact that you are getting old. Now, let me. Somebody said to me one day, say, Mr. DC, you're getting old. I said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. He said, no, don't rebuke me. He said, look at you, look at me, look at all of our friends. How many of us have their own children in the final year of the university? I said, well, only me. He said, that tells you something. He said, you are getting old. I don't need to be reminded. I look in the mirror every morning. I can see the gray lines, the silver lining just on these two sides. I can feel it in myself. I can experience, I know what I am handling, what I am dealing, what I'm going through. I feel it in my body, in my spirit, in my soul. I can feel what I'm going through. But the first stage of midlife crisis is that you deny that, no, I'm not getting old. You make excuses. You used to be able to just get up and go. Now you have to think and shift and roll and find a good support to get up. And instead of you accepting the fact that you are getting old, you start saying, oh, it's because I have a bad knee. It's because of my waist. I just need something to support myself. There is nothing wrong with being old. There is nothing wrong with getting old. What is wrong is to have the mentality that, or a denial mentality that says, I'm not getting old. At this stage of midlife crisis, people commonly pretend that I'm still a young man. They want to go and do what they used to do 20 years ago. You may be able to do it. Just pray that you don't break your bones, because it won't heal as quickly as it would have been some years ago. Many people will start dressing it. They will start wearing clothes. They will start putting on apparels to make them look younger. You now wear a shirt as if you borrowed it from your grandchild. People carry themselves in a way that you look at them and you say to yourself, come on now, you're too old for this. All because they are trying to say, no, I'm not old. They are trying to deny the reality of age. Some people at that age, because they want to convince themselves that they are not growing old at this stage of denial, that's when they will go and make some extravagant purchases just to look young and trendy. Now they want to wear their trousers below their waist and all of that. It doesn't matter. You could walk naked if you want. It does not change the fact that this is where you are. This is your postcode as at this time, and you better take it on board and work with it. Some people or at this denial state, they become obsessed with trying to appear younger. That's when some women will start to dabble into cosmetic surgery. Just pull this up a bit and yank this back a bit and stretch this out a little bit. They can do all of that. But there is something you can't deny. And that's the fact that you are getting old. Have you noticed that in the cosmetic world now, anti-aging cosmetics is selling like hotcakes? Nobody wants to feel old. Nobody wants to get old. But it is a natural thing in life for us, you and I, to go old and get older. So the first stage of midlife crisis is denial. Are you in that stage right now? Are you denying where you are? Are you fighting yourself vigorously that it's not true? I don't feel that way. Well, you may be denying it. It doesn't change the fact. The second stage is the stage of anger. Suddenly you start to get angry unnecessarily. Because while the first stage, the denial stage, is about you looking on the inside and fighting yourself on the inside, this second stage is now taking it out on everybody and anything else that is around you. You lash out, you fly off the handle, you every little thing, you make it into a very big thing. Because the issue is not with the matter being discussed. The issue is with you. You are at the point where you are angry that you've tried to stop growing older, and you keep growing older and older. You feel life has treated you unfairly. How come I'm getting older? Well, welcome to life. People at this stage, they become self-centered. They think all about themselves. They don't care who is around them, who is affected by what they say, by what they do, and how they dress. And they just want, it's all about me, myself, and I. And in the process, some of them will say some ugly things, some nasty things. They will demonstrate some weird characteristics. And you'll be wondering, what's the matter with him? Why is she doing that? It's called midlife crisis. And people at this second stage of anger, unfortunately, it is their close relatives, close families that suffers, because those are the people that receive the brunt of their anger. The third stage, when you're going through midlife crisis, the third stage is the replay stage. This is the stage where it is all about the good old days. Oh, you remember the good old days when we used to, when we have to, when we were to. It's a time of trying to travel back into the past and experience, maybe for one more time, that experience that you had when you were in secondary school. That opportunity that you had when you got your very first job. That lady that was the apple of your eyes and it never happened. That man that kept you awake at night and you thinking about him, all you can see is about him, and now you're wondering, I wonder where he is now. I wonder what he's doing now. I wonder if he's married. Maybe he's even divorced. Maybe he's dead. All of that, you're trying to go back and feel that feeling and experience that experience again, and take on, just smell that air again. And at that stage, people tend to develop entitlement mentality. They feel the whole world owes them something because they feel they are stuck in this place. They can't travel back and they're not going forward. So they feel they are stuck at a point. So there is this mentality, entitlement that they carry. They are unhappy with their spouse, they are unhappy with their boss, they are unhappy with their children, they are unhappy with everybody. And this type of this at this stage, people start to think very destructive, escapist behavior thoughts. And sometimes this is where people end up in extramarital affairs. This is where people will wake up one morning and just walk out of the family and you won't see them again. This is where people wake up and say to their spouse, "Good morning, my love. I love you with all of my heart, but I'm divorcing you." This is the time where most men who wants to feel the vibe of the 70s, of the 60s, they go and drain their savings and buy one flashy car just so that they can hit the road and feel the vibration of the sound in their hands again, like, and make them feel younger. Yes, you will feel younger, but as soon as you come out of that car, you are still your 62 years old. So the third stage of when people are going through midlife crisis, this third stage is the stage of replay, the good old days. The fourth stage is the stage of depression. Is the stage of depression. This is the stage when reality has finally come home to roost. This is the stage when you have now, you've run and run and run. Now your back is against the wall. This is the stage when people start to come to grips with the fact that no matter how they try, no matter what they do, irrespective of the effort and the denial, the youth life is truly gone. And at that stage, they start feeling. There's a feeling, there is a sense of failure. There's a sense of inadequacy. There is a sense of not amounting to anything that had done some people, especially if you have not made anything significant of your life. The second stage of anger is now multiplied by 10. Because depression is an anger that is directed at yourself rather than at somebody else. This is the stage when some people experience hormonal changes. Suddenly, all the hormones in the body are now, they're just running wild, and things are happening and things are changing and things are dropping, and you just, it's like juggling 10, 15 balls at the same time. And you're trying to keep all of them in the air so that they don't drop. As you age, naturally, as you age, your hormone levels will start to drop. Both for men and women. Because men are too quick to say, "Oh, she's the..." No. It happens to all. Suddenly, you don't feel like yourself anymore. There's something changing and you can't put your finger on it. There is something not really adding up and you can't identify it. That feeling can make you become depressed. And it's not because of anything rather than because you can't handle, you are unable to manage where you are and how you are feeling. And it is at this stage, unfortunately, that a lot of people take their own lives. The fifth stage is the stage of withdrawal. The stage of withdrawal. Now, the withdrawal sometimes it goes hand in hand with depression. The depression, like I said, is when you become angry towards yourself. And so the next level after that is to withdraw from everything, withdraw from everybody. That's when you don't have friends anymore. Your friends are now calling you, you're not picking up their calls. Your friends are asking you to go out, and you're making one excuse or the other why you can't go out. You isolate yourself. You lock yourself up. You shut the world away from you. You don't want to relate. You don't want to contact. You don't want to speak. You don't want to just have any contact from anything or anyone from outside. Even people within your own family. Now you just don't feel like spending time with them. And unfortunately, it is in that stage of withdrawal that a lot of people make big decisions that affect the rest of their lives. That's the stage when some people, they start to question, they start to re-examine, they start to recheck again the relationships that they've been in for the past 30 years. Suddenly, is Brian, is Tokwe, is Shirley really the right person for me to be married to? Well, hello, you've been married now for 32 years. But because they are at this stage of withdrawal, they don't want any relationship, any contact, anything to do with anybody. Now they start to re-examine and re-question and re-challenge, and because of what they're going through. The last stage that people go through during midlife crisis is level 6, the sixth stage, which is acceptance. Is the point of acceptance. Is the point where you think, you know what, this is all I've got left. I am going to make the best of it. This is when you have now come to terms with the reality, with the truth, of the fact that you are in it. You are in the eyes of the storm. And this is when people suddenly, who's been withdrawn, who's been angry, who's been, suddenly they change again. Completely immediate change. Because they have come to a point where they accept that, yeah, this is real, this is happening. Age is actually in my house. It's living in my body. I am that same person, and I am 68 years old, and there is nothing I can do about it. And suddenly, people at this stage, they just accept that and they get on with the rest of their lives. Some will use that realization, that new dawn that they've just bumped into. Some will use it as a springboard to start something new, to reinvent themselves and rebuild their lives and do something tangible, something wonderful with the rest of their lives. Some of them would look back and borrow some experiences from their pasts and put them together to create a new opportunity. They will change their lives. They will accept the responsibility of this new dawn, and they move on with their lives. So the question for you and I tonight is, where are you on these six levels? Where are you on these 6 levels? Are you at the beginning, at the stage of denial? Is it building up anger? Are you in the stage where you're just angry? Or are you in the good old days era of just, oh, let's Let's have that fun one more time. Or are you feeling depressed by what you see and what you experience and what you're feeling? Have you withdrawn yourself from anything and everyone? Do you feel nobody cares for you and therefore you just be by yourself? Or are you at the final stage where you say, "Do you know what? Life is what you make of it. Whatever is left of this, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be me. I am going to just be the me that I know." I hope this is helping somebody tonight. Because, like I said, it is not something you can run away from. It is not something you can bribe to go away. It is not something that you can walk away from. Each and every one of us, for as long as you live through the age of 45 to 65, you will experience this. Now, it could be on the negative side or it could be on the positive side. But whichever one it is, you will come face to face with this situation. And for crying out loud, please don't spiritualize this. Because a lot of people have completely messed up themselves and messed up their families and everything because they say, "Oh no, it's the devil attacking me. Oh, it's the people from the village." No, it's not. It has nothing to do with that woman that you fought when you were in primary school. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the reality of life. So how would you know? What are some of the signs and the symptoms of midlife crisis? What would you see? What would you experience apart from those stages? What are the tips? What are the signs that will just for you and you and you alone? What are some of the signs that will identify that, uh-oh, Mr. Midlife Crisis is here? The first one is some people get into impulsive buying, impulsive spending. That's when they wake up one morning and their 15 years savings is just pulled out and they go and buy an expensive car just to drive around there's nothing wrong, and please hear me clearly. I'm not saying everybody that goes out to buy a new Porsche 911 or a new Volvo or a new this, they're going through midlife crisis. That's not what I'm saying. But you will know if that is you. You will know if that is what you are going through. Because to them, that car symbolizes two things. That car is a symbol of success, and that car defines them as being young. And those two things are some of what many people are refusing to let go. They're just holding on to deny the fact that they're going through midlife crisis, just to prove that I am successful and I'm still young. So in order to do that, they go out and just get it one with a top down and just thank God for summer and just let the neighborhood know there is a new sheriff in town. Another sign of midlife crisis is that there will be drastic change in your habits. There will be mood swings. There will be your decision making processes will no longer be functioning. You change your habit. Maybe you used to eat healthy. You look after yourself. Now you just let yourself go. Suddenly your middle kingdom is growing. Your schedule that you used to follow regimentally, you just chuck them out of the window. The challenges that you set for yourself, suddenly you're no longer interested in them. You are angry without justification. You are just not together. It could just be you got a visitor. It's called Mr. Midlife Crisis. or Mrs. Another symptom of midlife crisis is that you'd suddenly notice there's a shift in your sleeping habit or your sleeping pattern. You are either unable to sleep for a long time or you are oversleeping. You just can't drag yourself out of bed. The reason is not because you are lazy in yourself. The reason is because while you think you were sleeping, your mind was now on a very high speed. Your mind is working overtime. Your mind is racing and thinking and this and traveling here and contending with that and this. And so when it's time for you to get up, you're tired. Because your mind has not rested all through the night. Or you've not even slept at all through the night, because even though your eyes are closed, you can see everything. You could hear everything. You can feel everything. Everything is just as real and as vivid to you. Also, suddenly, you are obsessed with the way you look. It's another sign of midlife crisis. Suddenly, you don't like the way you look anymore. You want to change this, you want to change that, and what you want to change is not something you can change today and reverse tomorrow. Suddenly, you can't buy from your local shopping mall now. You have to go to the designer's line to buy something so that you can also look the part, even though most of the time you can't afford it. Now you're wearing a lot of makeup that before you can't even you can't stand the sight of it. Too much of it just irritates you. But now you are the drag queen, because you just want to remain attractive. You want people to see you and say, wow. You want people to see you and still feel like, oh gosh, he's still got it. He's still pulling the market. You are old. Another another symptom of midlife crisis is that suddenly those same old friends, the friends that you grew up together, that you've worked together, that you've socialized together, now they're not good for you. They're too old now. You now want to hang out with people who are younger than you. There's nothing wrong with hanging out with younger people. But if you have to jettison and disconnect from your old friends to hang out with these people because they look young, they feel young, they talk young, they act young, midlife crisis is at hand. Because there's nothing that makes somebody feel old like when you look around you and everybody is looking like they're going south. Suddenly it dawns on you, is this what I look like? If somebody looks at me, is this what they're going to see? So in the attempt to change that, you disconnect from your old friends. You want to hang out with the young ones to feel part of them. That is when some older women start looking for younger men to hang out with, to become friends with, to have relationship with, because they feel being with that young man, or some older men looking for children who are about the age of their own, for girls who are about the age of their children, they feel by hanging out with those young ladies, it makes them feel young. It doesn't. It doesn't change the fact that you are older. Another symptom of midlife crisis is that you're feeling tired. You're feeling tied down. You want to change. You're thinking of changing. You're planning to change. You're talking of change. You're hoping to change, but you can't bring yourself to actually changing. You feel there's a general feeling of hopelessness. You feel you are stuck in a rut. You feel life has no options for you. It just seems like it's not working for you. It just seems as if things are just, you are boxed in. It could be a sign that you are going through midlife crisis. Some people will start thinking of, oh, did you hear about Mr. Richard? They said he died. Wow. Or did you hear about Auntie Nellie? They said she died. And suddenly your mind become preoccupied with thoughts of death. You start the reality of your mortality becomes so vivid to you that you just can't get away from thinking about death or dying. Every news you hear, everywhere you look, every place you turn to, there is death or dying or about to die, just dead, just it could be. Some people during their own midlife crisis, they suddenly leave the career that they've been in for the past 35 years and now they want to start a new career at the age of 72. There's nothing wrong. It's never too late. But why are you doing it? What is the purpose? What is the reason? What is the motivation? What is driving that sudden change in career path? Because it could be a sense of, I'm not fulfilled, even though you've been there for 35 years. Maybe you are not fulfilled. But have you looked at how long it's going to take you to make the breakthrough on this one? And some people, another symptom of midlife crisis is they wake up and they just walk out on their spouses. They just go to work and then come back. They go to the market and never return. They say we're going for shopping and that is the last time the husband will see of them. The husband said we're going for a seminar across the town. And that seminar, 5 years later, he's not back. Because when people are going through midlife crisis, one of the things is they start to crave respect, attention, affection, and they think they can only get those things if they are involved with a new person. If you think the grass is greener on the other side, just be careful. You may get to the other side and realize there is no grass at all. Talk less of it being greener. Some people will go through depression like we've talked about. Some people, another symptom of the fact that they are experiencing midlife crisis is that suddenly there's an uptake, there's a sudden increase in their alcohol or drug usage. Now they're going out more, they're drinking more, they're now involved in recreational drugs, and before you know it, they become hooked on it. Even some on prescription drugs. Be careful. And it is important for us to be on the lookout for people around us, people within our influence of contact, so that if you spot any of these symptoms, you can help them. Another symptom is that some people just get bored of everything. Nothing excites them anymore. They could just sit down in a place and be staring and gazing at one thing for hours on end. Nothing, they're just bored. They are bored. They become, what used to excite them is now dull. The job they used to just give all the, it just, okay, well, we'll see. Even some, their commitment, their relationship with God has just gone on holiday. And for some, their own sign is that they start assigning blames to everything and everyone. It's never their own issue. It's always somebody. It's always somebody's responsibility. It was because of somebody. It was because of this. They never. It is never about them. They are confused about the changes that are going on around them, and instead of looking on the inside to see and recognize this is happening to me, they try to blame some people to say, yeah, it's because of you. If you have not said that, if you didn't do that, if we didn't go there. Midlife crisis. And some people, they end up in a midlife crisis because they have just experienced a trauma. Maybe an ugly divorce just happened, or they just been fired. The job they thought they got for life, and one day, bam, the job is gone. Maybe their parent, one of their parents, or their spouse, or their child just died all of a sudden like that. Or you spend all your life running after the children, making them happy, sorting them out, providing for them. And then one day, you go back home from work, and it's just you, your spouse, the TV, even the dog has left. It's called empty nest syndrome. And at that stage, it hits you like a ton of bricks. What's happened to me? Where has my life been? What have I done with myself? Because everything else you've been running after, you've been pursuing, you've been catering for, you've been pampering, you've been taking care of, is all gone. Ladies and gentlemen, midlife crisis is real. It is real. It could be the beginning of a personal, emotional, and financial decline in anybody's life. So please let us be our brother's keeper. Let us be our sister's keeper. Let us be mindful of ourselves, what we're going through. Because you could just be the answer, the helper, the, the listening ears for somebody who is going through this stage. It's important for us to recognize it is not uncommon. It is not unusual. In fact, it is part and parcel of life to experience these changes during the course of existence. It is not about whether it will happen or not. The main focus should be, how do I recognize it and what can I do about it? And as I close, let's quickly look at what you can do about it. Acknowledge the crisis. It's here. Just accept it and work with it. Make the best of it. Don't deny it. Don't get into anger. Don't throw yourself away. It's a phenomenon that we will all experience. We will all go through, positively or negatively. And that comes down to a choice, a decision that we make. What can you do if you're going through a midlife crisis? Just think thoroughly before making any radical changes to your life and your environment. Speak to somebody, talk to your spouse, consult with your children, talk to good friends, talk to somebody before you commit yourself into something that you can't get out of. Seek professional help. There are so many counselors and this and that you can approach and say, look, this is what I'm feeling. Can you put a title to it? put some structure into it for me so I know what is going on. Seek professional help. Another thing you can do if you're going through a midlife crisis is get out of your comfort zone. Maybe that's the time for you to say, you know what, my beloved, call your spouse and say, look, we spent the last 25 years or 20 years or whatever many years, we've spent it on the children. Thank God they're all grown up. Thank God they're all in their various places. I'm taking you on a world cruise. Let's just, come on, life is short. Whatever we got left of it, let's go and enjoy it. Get out of your comfort zone. But don't do it out of impulse. Do it after a consultation with all the people that are with you and will be affected by it. Another thing you can do to deal with midlife crisis is volunteer your time. Go and help the homeless in the homeless shelter. Go and help people who are experiencing domestic abuse and drug abuse and this. Because what that will do is it will bring perspective to you. It will help you realize, wait a minute, what on earth am I complaining about? When you see others whose prayer, hopes, and aspiration is to just be at where you are now, and you are complaining. But you will not realize that until you step out of your comfort zone, put yourself in an environment that gives you perspective. Create new goals. Create new goals. If what you're doing currently is boring and you're getting tired of it, reconsider a few things. Reconsider everything. Create new opportunities, new goals for yourself. Set a challenge for yourself. Something that will task you, something that will compel you to stay within, to go back into a routine. Make a list of everything you've accomplished in the past year and use it as an opportunity to be grateful. Exercise, eat well, meditate, get closer to God. Do something that will help you. Because I can tell you, it could just be the answer to your life. It could be the solution to your problem. It could be just the anchor that will hold you in place in the midst of turmoil. But you won't know that until you step out, until you try it out, until you give yourself the opportunity to examine what is going on with my life. Why am I in this situation? And use that. Use that opportunity, use that discovery to step out and become your true self and rediscover yourself and go for what will make you the person that you need to be. As I close tonight, I just want to quickly talk to you about a special program that is coming up in the month of October. In the month of October, we have the privilege of working with one of my very good friends to really look at life from a different angle, to look at life from the perspective of something that we all know, that we all relate to or talk about or like or don't like. We want to use the concept of football to examine life. We're not going to talk about whether you belong to this club or you support that club. That's not the issue. We're going to look at something called tactics, wisdom from the beautiful game of football, and how we can use that to really program our lives, to really set ourselves to challenge and bring the best out of ourselves. And so for the first 2, 3 weeks in October, this is what we'll be looking at. It's called tactics. And my friend will be here. We'll be looking at the game of life, the fair play principles and the winning ways, and how we can adopt and use that for our lives. We'll be looking at the tactical approaches to life. You know, every football match or every football team, they have tactics that they will talk about, they will practice, they will walk through before they go into the field of play. We can use that as an analogy to also examine our own lives and plan our lives, and put some principles in place to help us. We will look at leadership and management strategies that is used in football, and see how that relates to you and I. How can that work with your life and work in my life? There are so many things that we're going to cover. It's going to be like a workshop. And I want it to be interactive. So please, I am appealing to you. Mark your calendars. The first 2, 3 weeks of October is going to be very informative. We're going to learn. We're going to examine. We're going to discuss. We're going to revisit some aspects of life that, yes, we've looked at it, but we're going to look at them from another angle. And this whole process is supported by the Prostate Cancer UK. So at some point, we're going to bring a medical doctor in to talk to us about prostate cancer, especially for men. In fact, the totality of this is we're planning to have a whole weekend sometime early next year or thereabout, where we're going to just dive into this, spend the whole weekend together. For everybody, man, woman, boy, or girl, it doesn't matter. Because life is worth living. But if it's worth living, let's give it the best preparation, the best approach. Let's have some strategies and some tactics in place so that we can get the best out of life. I'm excited, as you can see. I am just really excited. And this, my friend, that is coming to do this, Tony Bryce, oh my goodness, you don't want to miss this. You really don't want to miss this in the first 3 weeks in October, as we'll be looking at tactics, learning from the beautiful game of football, and how we can use that to better ourselves. I'm excited. Tell somebody about it. Flyers and more notices and more. This thing will be coming out shortly. We'll see them on our social media handles and all of that. But please, it is an opportunity that you don't want to miss. I'm looking forward to it. And until then, don't forget, we are people that are in this world with a purpose and a reason. And in order for us to achieve and maximize that purpose and that reason, that is what this platform is about, to prepare us so that when we finally get to the point of delivery on those purposes and those reasons why we're here, we are ready, we are equipped, we are sharpened, we are completely ready to give it the best. So that everybody that will see us will have no choice but to say, for definite, these people, they are better men and better women. I'll see you again next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.